Attachment theory and developmental psychology in early childhood. Attachment theory is one of the staples in the psychology's understanding of the relationship development between people. Some scholars go so far as to assign it a role in the brain formation and propose it as an alternative to psychoanalysis. Its role in the developmental psychology in general and the building of personality in particular is the topic of this paper. To examine the subject, first, the attachment theory is briefly defined and contextualized, then its role in the personality formation and the applications for the field in general are studied. Structurally, attachment theory is concerned with the origin of close bonds or relationships between individuals, and the factors that facilitate it. It studies the environments and intergenerational patterns that transpire throughout the attachment formation process in an infant, a child, or an adolescent. It states that to develop mentally and emotionally at a normal rate, a child should develop a close bond with at least one primary caregiver. The attachment theory considers the internal ecosystem of a family unit to determine the way in which said family's most vulnerable member will be conditioned to experience and demonstrate affection. It is rooted in the interpersonal cultural approach and has found its application in metapsychology, social studies, secondary education, and, of course, developmental psychology. When a person's individuality is formed over the course of their development, it consists of a number of slowly accumulated characteristics, largely specific to them. Some of those are believed to be genetically inherited or based on one's temper, but research indicates the existence of a significant number of links between personality development and attachment theory. Namely, the attachment patterns demonstrated in infancy and early childhood are frequently replicated at a later age. They then affect and shape the relationships an individual builds and maintains with the people around them and the perception those people form of the subject in question. The studies of the personality development have determined the link between a strong attachment to one or both parents in childhood and manifestations of empathy and compassion. Furthermore, any family influences on the personality development get recontextualized within the attachment theory framework. As the attachment patterns influence the family relationships then indisputably affect the child's personality in its formative stage. It is perhaps not an understatement to say that the attachment theory has in many ways revolutionized the field of developmental psychology. It implies and confirms the validity of considering the early childhood emotional experiences as fundamentally formative. The definitive statement of the theory provides the field with a clear point of reference in what is considered the norm. Consecutively, a pathology can be identified in situations where a child hasn't formed a strong emotional connection to one of their primary caregivers. The developmental psychologists then would expect the child's capability of establishing strong relationships to progress abnormally, as the theory has been widely adopted in the field. In conclusion, attachment theory is a frame of reference for developmental and personality psychologists throughout the recent scientific history. It outlines some of the necessary conditions for a child's full and healthy psychological and emotional development. The studies of the personality formation have found the theory's application in the field by observing and describing significant links between attachment patterns and relationships in later life. Finally, the modern developmental psychology heavily relies on the theory when examining the early stages of the psychological and psychic development.